All right, so are you ready to decode the dictionary?
I think so.
Because today we're going to be looking at Oxford University Press's Words of the Year
Oh, cool.
for 2024.
Right.
And, these aren't just any old words, they're carefully chosen
Mm.
because they reflect like the big trends and ideas that are like swirling around
Oh,
us.
what's going on in the world?
Yeah, exactly. And like sometimes it's not even a brand new word, but like
Right.
an older one that suddenly takes on like a whole new meaning,
Oh, yeah.
like brain rot. Have you ever felt your brain is turning to mush
Totally.
after too much social media or reality TV?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, it's that feeling of I've been scrolling for too long or I've watched too many episodes of this show.
Yeah, it's almost like a collective sigh of my brain is fried, but said with a wink and a nod.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
we're all kind of in on the joke that we're hooked on this stuff, even if it's not exactly like
right.
doing wonders for our brains.
Yep.
What's interesting is what this says about us.
Yeah.
Like, why is brain rot resonating so much right now?
I think, well, it points to like our growing awareness
Yeah.
of this digital overload we're all experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're kind of acknowledging that maybe, just maybe all this screen time isn't like
Right.
the best thing for our mental well-being.
So it's not just a complaint. It's more like a cultural confession.
Yeah.
Okay, but this left isn't all doom and gloom.
Okay.
We've also got the resurgence of demure, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't that word go out of style with like petticoats and chaperones?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did seem like a word destined for the history books.
Yeah.
But then you have TikTok influencer Jules LeBron
Oh, yeah.
with her very demure, very mindful
Yes.
catchphrase, and suddenly demure is cool again.
Yeah.
Even celebrities like J-Lo and Khloe Kardashian are using it.
I saw that. It's like a complete 180 for a word that used to be synonymous with being shy and reserved.
Yeah.
Dictionary.com even named it their word of the year
Wow.
because usage shot up by, get this, 1,200%.
Really?
So it's not just a fleeting trend. It's
Yeah.
like demure is tapping into something deeper.
Uh-huh.
What do you think is driving this comeback?
I think it could be a reaction to this constant pressure to be on and visible online.
Yeah.
Maybe demure is a way of reclaiming some privacy and control in a world where everything feels so overexposed.
Like a quiet rebellion against the noise.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting take.
Thank you.
And it makes you wonder if this ties into the whole conversation around like
Yeah.
evolving ideas of femininity.
Totally.
Demure used to have this very traditional, almost submissive connotation,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe now it's being reclaimed as a way of expressing strength and intentionality on your own terms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about choosing to be understated and elegant without sacrificing your power or individuality. And it could even link to those trends we see in fashion toward more like sustainable, timeless styles.
Totally.
It's like we're moving away from the flashy and disposable
Yeah.
and embracing a more mindful approach to how we present ourselves.
It's amazing how a single word can spark so many different interpretations
I know, it's great.
and connect to these broader cultural currents.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears now and talk about a word that's definitely going to hit a nerve,
Okay.
especially for music fans, dynamic pricing.
Oh.
I'm talking about the whole Oasis ticket fiasco. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Fans were furious when ticket prices suddenly skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Thanks to Ticketmaster's algorithm.
I mean, it was a perfect storm of factors, right?
Yeah.
Like a legendary band reuniting huge demand
Oh my God. Yeah.
and an algorithm designed to squeeze every last penny
Yes.
out of eager fans.
Yeah. Tickets went from a somewhat reasonable 135 pounds
Yeah.
to over 350 pounds in the blink of an eye.
Crazy.
And some resale tickets were going for like crazy amount.
I bet.
It's no wonder there were investigations by the UK's Competition and Markets Authority
Right.
and even the European Union.
It really exposed that tension between maximizing profits
Yeah,
and treating consumers fairly.
totally.
The lack of transparency around dynamic pricing just fueled the outrage.
Yeah, it felt like the algorithm was prioritizing profit over people,
Yeah.
and Oasis themselves weren't happy about it either.
Really?
They ended up adding more shows and using a ballot system for tickets, which is a pretty big statement.
Definitely, their actions, along with like talks of capping resale prices, show that there's a growing awareness
Yeah.
of the need for more consumer protection
Uh-huh.
in the live music industry.
Yeah, this whole situation really makes you think about the ethical implications of algorithms and like how we prevent them from
Right.
exploiting people.
Yeah, definitely food for thought.
Speaking of getting lost in things, let's talk about another word on the list, lore.
Okay.
It's not just about dusty old legends anymore, is it?
I don't think so.
It's like we're obsessed with uncovering the hidden details and backstories of everything we love, from movies and video games to even our own, like, personal experiences.
It's fascinating how lore has expanded to encompass this deep dive into the hidden layers
Right.
of meaning and connection.
It's like we're all amateur detectives searching for clues and piecing together these intricate narratives.
Yeah.
What do you think is driving this fascination with lore?
I think it could be a desire for, like, deeper engagement
Okay.
with the stories we consume. It's not enough to just passively watch or read anymore.
Right.
We want to actively participate, unravel the mysteries,
Yeah.
and feel like we're a part of something bigger.
It's almost like we're collectively building these expansive universes
Yeah.
of knowledge and speculation.
Mhm.
And social media plays a huge role in this, right?
Absolutely.
It's where we share theories, debate interpretations, and basically become
Yeah.
co-authors of the lore.
Exactly. Social media has become this incredible platform for collaborative storytelling,
Totally.
where fans can connect, share their passion, and contribute to the ever-expanding mythology of their favorite things.
Okay, I'm already sensing a theme here, this need to dive deeper.
Yeah.
To understand the nuances and hidden connections.
Uh-huh.
And that brings us to another word that's been exploding in popularity, especially online.
Okay.
Romantasy. It's like
Right.
romance novels met fantasy worlds and had a baby.
Yes.
It's a genre that's been particularly embraced by online communities like #BookTalk on TikTok,
Oh, yeah.
where readers are sharing their favorite romantasy finds
Oh,
and
right.
fueling its meteoric rise.
For sure.
Authors like Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros have become like superstars in this genre,
Oh, yeah, they're huge.
creating these immersive worlds filled with magic adventure and, of course, some
Yeah.
swoon-worthy romance.
Absolutely.
What do you think is drawing readers to romantasy so powerfully?
I think it could be this yearning for escape, a desire to immerse ourselves in worlds where magic is real
Yeah.
and love conquers all.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just about escapism.
Right.
Many of these stories feature strong, independent female characters
Yes.
who defy traditional gender roles
I love that.
and forge their own destinies.
So it's like escapism with a feminist twist.
Absolutely.
Okay, I like that.
It's a genre that empowers women, celebrates diversity,
Mm-hmm.
and offers a fresh perspective on traditional romance tropes.
Yeah.
And the fact that so many of these books are being adapted for TV and film speaks volumes
Totally.
about its cultural impact.
It's like romantasy is riding this wave of cultural change, where readers are demanding more complex, empowering, and inclusive stories.
For sure.
All right, we've covered brain rot demure, dynamic pricing lore, and romantasy.
Wow, that's a lot.
That leaves us with one final word on the list.
Okay, hit me.
Slop.
Slog.
And I have to admit, this one threw me for a loop. It doesn't exactly sound like a word that's going to capture the spirit of 2024, does it?
I mean, I can understand why you'd say that.
Yeah.
It's not the most glamorous word,
Right.
but it's surprisingly relevant
Okay.
in our current cultural landscape.
All right, so what's the connection? What does slop have to do with
Yeah.
the big trends of 2024?
Well, think about it in the context of like the AI revolution
Mm-hmm.
that's happening all around us.
Yeah.
We're seeing more and more content being generated by artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Everything from articles and music to even podcasts.
You mean those podcasts that sound like they were written by a robot? The ones that are technically perfect,
Yeah,
but lack any kind of soul or personality?
exactly.
Okay.
Slop captures that feeling of unease we get
Yes.
when we encounter content that's technically proficient,
Right.
but utterly devoid of human touch.
It's like eating a perfectly formed but completely flavorless cake.
Yes, the uncanny valley of content.
It's like our brains can sense that something's missing. Yeah.
That there's no heart behind the polished facade.
Right.
It's fascinating and a little bit creepy how this seemingly simple word
I know, right?
has become such a potent symbol
Mm-hmm.
of our anxieties about AI.
It really speaks to our deep-seated need for authentic human connection, even in the digital age.
Yeah.
And it raises some important questions
Like what?
about the future of creativity in a world where AI is becoming increasingly sophisticated.
It makes you wonder if slop will become even more prevalent in the years to come.
Totally.
And how do we as consumers navigate this increasingly blurred line
Right.
between
Right.
human-created and AI-generated content?
Yeah, it's a question we'll all be grappling with as AI gets more sophisticated.
Yeah.
How do we protect and value that human spark, that originality that an algorithm can't quite replicate?
It feels like we're on the edge of something big here. On one hand, AI has the potential to democratize creativity, make it more accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there's this fear that it could also dilute it, drown out the truly unique voices. And that brings us back to the power of being discerning consumers, of choosing to support those artists, writers, musicians, whoever it may be, who are pushing boundaries and creating something truly original.
So being mindful of where we're getting our information from, who's creating it, and what their intentions are. Okay. I want to circle back to some of the other awards we've been discussing. It's interesting how this year's list is such a mix from lighthearted trends like Demure to more weighty issues like slop and the ethics of AI.
Yeah, it's a reflection of our world right now, isn't it? We're grappling with complex issues, but we're also finding ways to laugh, connect, and escape through stories, memes, and these little linguistic quirks that capture our collective imagination.
And that reminds me of another word on the list that's all about connection and shared stories, lore. It's not just about fantasy worlds anymore, is it? It feels like everything has lore now, from our favorite TV shows to even our own personal experiences.
Right. It's like we're craving those deeper layers of meaning, those hidden connections that make us feel like we're part of something bigger.
I know I've definitely spent hours going down rabbit holes on the internet, reading fan theories and trying to piece together the lore of my favorite shows. What do you think is driving this urge to uncover the hidden stories behind everything?
I think social media has a lot to do with it. It's created this space where we can share our interpretations, debate theories, and basically become co-creators of the lore. It's not just a one-way street from creator to consumer anymore. It's a collaborative process.
It's like we're all adding our own chapters to the story, expanding the universe in ways the original creators might never have imagined.
Exactly. And that's where romantasy comes in as well. It's a genre that's thrived on this collaborative energy with online communities like #BookTalk, playing a huge role in its success.
It's fascinating how a genre that was once considered niche has now become mainstream largely thanks to the power of social media. What do you think romantasy says about our current cultural moment?
I think it taps into this yearning for stories that are both escapist and empowering. Readers are drawn to these immersive worlds filled with magic and adventure. But they're also looking for characters who are complex, relatable, and capable of defying expectations.
And romantasy delivers on both fronts. You have these incredible heroines who are strong, independent, and often defy traditional gender roles. It's like escapism with a feminist twist.
Exactly. It's a genre that allows readers to escape into fantastical worlds while also feeling seen and empowered by the characters they encounter. And it speaks to a larger cultural shift, where we're demanding more diverse and inclusive stories that reflect the complexity of our world.
It's like romantasy is offering a glimpse into a future where women are not just damsels in distress, but active agents in shaping their own destinies. Okay, before we wrap things up, I want to touch on one more word that's been on my mind: dynamic pricing. The whole Oasis ticket situation really left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Do you think this is a trend that's going to continue?
I think it's a complex issue with no easy answers. On one hand, dynamic pricing allows companies to adjust prices based on demand, which in theory could lead to more efficient allocation of resources. But on the other hand, it can also feel incredibly unfair to consumers, especially when it leads to exorbitant prices that exclude those who can't afford them.
It's like the algorithm is prioritizing profit over people, and that doesn't sit well with a lot of folks.
What's needed is more transparency and regulation. Consumers deserve to understand how these algorithms work and what factors are driving price fluctuations, and there needs to be some kind of safeguard against blatant price gouging.
So it's about striking a balance between allowing businesses to innovate and protecting consumers from exploitation.
Exactly. It's about finding a way to ensure that technology serves the common good rather than just lining the pockets of a select few.
It makes you wonder if the outrage over dynamic pricing might actually lead to some positive change, some kind of pushback against these opaque algorithms that seem to be controlling more and more of our lives.
I think it's certainly possible. We've seen it happen before with other issues like data privacy and online security. Consumer pressure can force companies to be more accountable and ethical in their practices.
So maybe dynamic pricing, as frustrating as it is, could actually be a catalyst for change. It's like a wake-up call to pay closer attention to how algorithms are shaping our lives and to demand more transparency and fairness from the companies that use them.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that we as consumers have a voice, and that we can use it to hold corporations accountable for their actions.
All right, so we've talked about brain rot, demure, dynamic pricing, lore, romantasy, and slop. It's fascinating how these seemingly disparate words all connect back to this larger conversation about technology culture and the evolving nature of human connection.
And it's a conversation that's far from over. As technology continues to advance and our world becomes increasingly interconnected, these themes will continue to shape our language, our stories, and our understanding of ourselves.
It makes you wonder what new words will emerge in the years to come and what they'll reveal about the changing landscape of our world.
I think that's a great question to leave our listeners with. What words do you think will define 2026?
Yeah, what a thought, right? It's like we're all amateur linguists now trying to predict the future of language.
Right.
But it's not just about the words themselves, is it? It's about what those words reveal, like our hopes, our fears, and like the things we're grappling with as a society.
Exactly. Think about how these words of the year capture this tension we're all feeling
Yeah.
between embracing technology and safeguarding, like, what makes us human.
Yeah, like how brain rot acknowledges the addictive nature of technology,
Yeah.
while lore highlights our desire for deeper meaning and connection.
Totally.
And then you have demure, which is almost like a quiet rebellion against the pressure to be constantly on and visible.
Yeah, it's like we're trying to find a balance, the way to navigate this rapidly changing world without losing ourselves
Right.
in the process.
And language becomes this battleground where those tensions play out.
Hopefully.
We're constantly redefining words, repurposing them to express new ideas and anxieties.
It's a reminder that language is a living, breathing thing,
Yeah.
constantly evolving to reflect the changing landscape of our world.
All right, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to throw it back to you, our listener. What resonated most with you
Yeah.
from our conversation today?
Were there any words that sparked a personal connection, maybe made you think differently about like your own online habits
Yeah.
or your relationship with technology?
Or maybe you have some predictions for what words might make the list in 2026.
Oh, yeah. Good one.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
We've covered a lot of ground today, explored some fascinating linguistic trends, and hopefully sparked some interesting conversations along the way.
But ultimately, it's up to each of us to keep those conversations going, to stay curious about the words we use and the stories they tell.
Because language is more than just a tool for communication. It's a reflection of who we are, where we've been, and where we're headed.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep having fun with the amazing world of words.
Yes.
Until next time, happy decoding.